Okay, welcome to Friday of week 5. If you wanted a paper copy of your achievement rate book to put 2 little stars on in different colors, then they are here. Take 3 papers, staple them together, and start assembling your stuff. The other announcement I have is if somebody wants to, this is one of the books we're considering doing next year, starting fall. So if you want to borrow it, look it over the weekend. Make sure you bring it back Monday because faculty will want to look at it. Then you can see, is this a good textbook or not? Give us feedback and maybe it would help you with something. This is the brand that has the QR codes all throughout, so you can see videos that go with the example.
Oh, okay.
So,
Is that for this actual class?
yeah, it would be for Math 20. So it has the same topics that your current textbook does, just cheaper. So today, my plan for today was to do 2 things. To start the unit analysis, and I'll tell you why in a moment. And then we have the Pop Quiz 4, that's not really testing you, it's testing your old math teachers. Remember that one I mentioned? So that would be 2 good things to do. Polygon perimeter and area is fun. We fold lots of shapes with paper, but I think that would be Monday. Since this is a short day, it doesn't make sense to try to squeeze that. So the reason I want to do that is starting measurement in the math science section is a change of theme. Everything we've been doing up till now has sort of been opening up your head, taking out your math brain, putting it on the table and looking at what's happened to you before and which little gaps might you need to fill in. Maybe no one taught you all the divisibility rules, maybe, whatever. But we haven't actually tied things together yet. We've just been doing more and more things like this giant monstrous salad bar. And so once we get to this subtopic, then things start being wrapped together again. It's like we're putting your math brain back in your head after fixing things a little that might not have been a good foundation. So unit analysis is the efficient way to do the measurement unit conversions and the Bose-Smith chains that we've already seen. This is like the fast, reliable way that people really do it in real life. It doesn't, however, develop your intuition of why it works. So that's why we did the other things first. Then we're going to do some stuff with shapes. That's not too exciting. And then we do proportions and cross multiplying. And that pulls together a bunch of stuff we've done with rates and ratios. And all of that will start making more sense. And then we'll go to percent sentences and all the stuff we did in the past week with percent of and percent change gets wrapped up into a bigger picture that makes more sense. So things are sort of falling together instead of being spread apart from here on in. And it's kind of nice at the end of week 5 to say, okay, let's start wrapping things up a little bit. Then I got a question this morning that someone said, actually, can we practice the no calculator test? Have we done all the things that would let me take this at home as a practice test and get ready and then take it when I want? So I wasn't sure, so we just checked, and yes, we've done all of this. So which decimal is bigger, rounding, how many factors does something have, reducing fractions, fractions to decimals, percents, decimals to percents, the scooting decimal point trick, the King Henry stuff where you scoot things left and right the right number of times, fraction division, fraction addition, turning a decimal into a fraction. The 50 would just hang out front there. Terms, the 1 plus and minus trick where an 8% increase is 1.08 and the 8% decrease would be 0.92 because that's 1 minus 0.08. Fraction subtraction and an interesting fraction problem. So all of that we've in theory touched on. Maybe not enough that you want to do this yet, but we've talked about all of those things in class. So one thing to do today, if people want it instead, would be to do this instead of the unit analysis. But then we'd sort of have two quizzy things at once, which might just be too much. So any votes one way or the other?
Let's not do it at once.
Not this yet? Okay. So this is just a heads up then, that if you are wanting to just get this done, that's like half your final, you could just get done already.
Oh,
Then
okay.
take a no calculator test over the weekend, see how you do, see what questions you have for me Monday. Don't spend an hour on it, but see what you can get done in 20 or 30 minutes. And those will be a good source of questions at the start of class. Yes.
So we take the no calculator test at home during the weekend if we so choose to.
It just as a practice test, you're not going to get the star checked off. We're going to actually do one during class time eventually. But I know we're not ready for that yet. So one thing you can do. Okay, so let's do a little bit of stuff. That was just to remind me. If you came in late, you can get your paper thing to put stars on. Okay, so I had messed up teaching the goes with change last time, so I'm going to start by doing that. Just one problem that's not broken, and then we'll do the unit analysis. Again, I'm doing this not because this is actually the way anyone does it in real life, but because it helps with the intuition, and they can talk about this in 5 minutes. So I'm going to take a bunch of rates and smush them together, and it won't look like the way we smush together plain numbers with the arithmetic operations. That's not in terms kind of problems. Rates in real life we combine in a different way. So what I want to do is take my rates, list them all out, find out where we're starting, and then make this chain where they fit together. So here's a new problem that's not broken. I have one person has 4 slices, 12 slices for 1 pizza. And $14 for 1 pizza. So my first step is just to list out all the rates that they give me. My second step is to figure out what they're asking me. So where am I starting in this problem?
How much they spend?
That's what I'm ending with. So what I don't know is how much money we'll spend at the end. It's an amount of something, an amount of slices, an amount of pizza, an amount. We will have to do some multiplying, that's true. Yes.
It's the amount of slices.
No.
4 slices.
We're starting with 6 friends. So 6 people is how much money? And that's one of the trickier things with these problems, is figuring out what am I actually going from in the beginning and to at the end. I'm going from 6 people to a certain amount of money. Does that make sense now that I've shown you? Okay, so once you have that, then we're going to make a chain. So 6 people goes with, only one of these rates has people in it. So I have to use this one. And if I want 6 people, then I need to make it say 6. So 6 people will be 24 slices. So 24 slices goes with, yeah. Oh,
So.
that's stuck together. Oh, well, I'm just gonna have to write squished. So this is gonna be times 2 times 2. And then finally, I want to get to money, and I can do that with the last rate. What do I need to unreduce by? 2 again, yeah. So for 2 pizzas, it's gonna be $28. So I get this chain, and all these things go with 6 people. 24 slices goes with 6 people. 2 pizzas goes with 6 people. $28 goes with 6 people. So hopefully it looks nice if I'm dancing around the room in front of you, whether or not you actually produce it this way yourself. This is like my 8-year-old reading Harry Potter, but not having to write as well as Rowling. Right? As long as this makes sense when I'm doing it, and you are just taking it in, we are good. Does anyone want to see another one of these? Yes, okay. Okay, anyone want more time on this slide? Okay, anyone know what permethrin is? No. So if you pay someone to wander around and spray ant spray around the base of your house so that the ants don't attack it, then usually what they're spraying is permethrin. And the same way, if your kid gets lice, then the special lice shampoo that you use is just watered down permethrin. So it's a generic bug killer. Anyway, a pest control worker needs to add permethrin to a quart of water. He knows to use 8 teaspoons per 1 gallon. And
There's 16 quarts of oil.
4 quarts in a gallon. 4 quarts in a gallon. Okay, so what are we asking?
I wrote it. 16. No, it doesn't. Oh.
Okay, what are we starting with or what are we ending with?
Ending with how much permethrin should you use?
We're ending with teaspoons of permethrin.
In a quart.
And we're starting with a quart. Right, it's a quart of water. If we want to label it, we could. Okay, everyone okay with our starting and ending? And again, the blue is often the hardest part because once you know where to start, everything else just kind of falls into place. So 1 quart water. So the only one with quarts is here, so I need to divide by 4, top and bottom. If you wanted to write 1/4 instead of 0.25, you could. And now I want to go from gallons of water to teaspoons of permethrin. What am I going to reduce or unreduce by?
Towards to what?
I want to take the top rate, and instead of having a 1 gallon as part of the rate, I want it to be a 1/4 gallon, so it matches. Does it help if I write fractions? I could. Is that better? 1/4?
It's the same as 0.2, yeah.
Oh,
Do you like the 0.25 better?
I thought it was Y.
No, it's my pen being funny on me. Okay, so what am I going to multiply or divide by?
Divide by 4.
Divide by 4. So again, we have a chain of things that all go together. A 1/4 gallon of water is a quart of water. Or 2 teaspoons of permethrin goes with a quart of water.
So there's 4 quarts.
So this is too much work. I'm writing a whole lot. And all I'm trying to do is know if I should multiply or divide when the 4's happened.
Well, you're making
So-
it smaller stuff.
I'm doing a lot of writing, so I'm not making careless mistakes. It's telling me when to multiply by 4 or divide by 4, so these things will match. So it's nice that it's telling me when to multiply and divide, but I wish there was a more efficient thing to do, because this is a lot of writing for a problem where I'm just dividing by 4 twice. So there's a better way to do this. So, so what people actually do, instead of the goes with chain, is called unit analysis. Some websites and books will call it dimensional analysis, although that sounds a little more shorter. And
So we're starting measurement.
we're starting measurement, we're starting unit analysis. I'll scroll up a tiny bit. Measurement, big letters, okay.
What would you take in our
Listen, we don't need a full half hour for it. And this will be pretty quick. This is something that is, for some people, quick. For some people, I'm gonna have to do this a bunch. So I will certainly do this again on Monday as if we didn't do it today. So if it doesn't click with you the first time, that's okay. Look at it a little over the weekend, but don't beat yourself up, and we'll do this again on Monday. But this is the nice thing that actually is efficient and makes people happy. If we think about what we just did, the problem was that we didn't have any canceling. It was like when we were doing fraction addition, remember the brute force method where the numbers just got too big because you weren't canceling things out? When you were multiplying fractions, if you didn't cancel, the numbers just got too big. That's what we're doing. We're not taking advantage of any of our fraction tools here. So the unit analysis has 5 steps. And when I just show them to you here, they're not going to make any sense at all. So we're just going to do a problem. Because it is complicated, I am scrolling down past some examples that are all typed out nicely for you, for the people who are needing more examples or sick at home or things like that. But I'm just going to do the problems from here. This problem will seem stupid, and that's okay. Number 86 is an easy problem. you don't need unit analysis for this, but we're gonna use it just as a place to look at these 5 steps. And we'll get to the ones that actually need unit analysis soon enough. So I'm wondering 9.6 feet. Oh, 9.6 yards is how many feet? And the textbook might write it like this, or it might write it like an English sentence. Either way. So our process says, first we're going to write our thing as a fraction. So 9.6 yards isn't a fraction, so I put it over 1. Second, I'm going to write what I'm calling empty rates, and I want to get out of yards and into feet. Do I know a rate that goes from yards to feet? Sure, so that's a good one to use. So I can get out of yards and go to feet. And just like we canceled when multiplying fractions, we're going to cancel these words. There's a yards on top, there's a yards on bottom. I am multiplying fractions. So I'm going to cancel my yards. Step 3, once I have a plan that's done, I'm getting to feet like I want, right? Then I can go back and fill in that there's 3 feet in a yard. Sometimes these problems are trickier, and what to write in green isn't obvious. So this is just so I don't erase as much. Let's get the words canceling and the plan good before we bother to fill in the numbers. Then we multiply. How do we multiply fractions? We go across the top, we go across the bottom. So I have 9.6 times 3. You don't have to write a whole nother step. And 1 times 1. And whatever that is, 9.6 times 3, 28.8. And then my last step is simplify my answer. Whoops, that wasn't purple. Let's try this again.
Oh,
In this case, it's pretty trivial, but in general, how do you simplify a fraction and make it a decimal? You do top divided by bottom. We've done that a lot. So I wrote way too much. Do you need to write out the multiplication top and bottom as a separate thing? No. Do you need to write out something over 1 if you're happy just having the answer? No. But I'm writing too much at the first step just because I'm lecturing. So I'm going to whittle back in my next example problem what I'm writing. So let's do, how many inches is 3 yards? Again, if it helps you, then what we're asking is 3 yards is how many inches? Okay, so I'm going to write whatever I'm starting with as a fraction. If it already was, if they give you something with miles an hour or something that is a fraction, then you just write it. But in this one, it's not a fraction, so I put it over 1.
I don't know.
Okay, do I know how to get from yards to inches in 1 step? Let's pretend I don't. Maybe somebody in the room does, because we're nice, smart people. But if you don't, then, well, I could go from yards to feet. And I could go between feet and inches. Where do I want to write feet and where do I want to write inches?
Where are you getting feet from? I was asking how many inches is in a yard.
Yeah, but that's what I know is that there's 3 feet in a yard.
So what is it asking?
It wants inches, so I have to keep
So where
going
are we getting the feet from?
because I'm just in the middle of things.
Okay. So.
I want to get out of feet and into inches. So am I going to put inches on top or feet on top? Inches, and why does Sonia say that?
Because that's where we're getting enough one.
Because we're converting it to the feet.
Because I want another feet on the bottom. I had a foot on top, so I want one on the bottom, so it will cancel. I had a yards on top, so I want one on the bottom, so they'll cancel.
I think I just got confused.
Here's got a few. Okay, I'm going to back up
I
and do
think
this
it's the
all
feet
over
thing.
again.
I think it's the feet thing because I feel like I did it a whole different way, but I'm just waiting to see the answer.
So- My blue step, my first step was to write the thing they give me as a fraction. So I did that. I put it over 1 because it wasn't a fraction yet. Now my green step is I'm going to make a chain of words. And I want all the words to cancel until I get what I want. So let's get out of yards. So the yards will cancel. Do I know how to get from yards directly to inches? Maybe you do, maybe you don't. Let's pretend you don't, and we're going into feet. I'm not done yet. I don't want feet. So I keep going. I want to get rid of that feet. So since it's on the top, I need another foot on the bottom. And then my feet will cancel. Can I change feet into something useful? Sure, I can be inches. Hey, look, now they match. I'm done. I can stop making more fractions.
Is there an easier way?
Yes.
If you wanted to just know how many inches was in a yard to begin with.
Then you could do this in 1 fraction instead of 2.
Okay, so how many inches is in a yard?
36 inches is in there.
Awesome. That's
But you can't always do it in 1 fraction. So I'm using this as an excuse to do more than 1 fraction. Okay, step 3 was we have a good plan. We can get to inches and stop, and inches is all that's left, right? Everything is working great. So let's bother to write in our numbers. Step 4, I'll multiply. So multiply across the top. 3 times 3 is 9. 9 times 12.
Oh, we even weren't including that second 3.
Yes, okay.
Mm-hmm.
I got this. Math is always difficult if you follow it.
Isn't there
It's like
just
a
a
formula.
I mean, it's not difficult if you just don't, if you know the answer, it's different from how they go. You just kind of
You
skip
just
the
want
part.
to make it difficult.
No.
I am making this a little needlessly difficult.
Yeah.
If you were a carpenter and you did this kind of thing all day long, you could just look at the 3 yards and say, oh, I need to multiply by 36. But for most Math 20 students, especially on the day of the final, this one has to make your brain turn into mush. Then am I multiplying, am I dividing? This means I don't have to make any choices. It tells me I'm multiplying by 3 and 12 or 36 in 1 step. And I can't mess it up. If I put the feet on the bottom and the yards on the top, my things won't cancel. Yeah.
And you said we could use our notes, so if I write in my notes how my.
You don't need to use your notes on the
Oh.
You don't?
When do we get to use our notes? You told us.
I told you to pretend you do. You will do better on the final if you pretend that you're allowed 1 sheet of notes and
Oh.
condense everything, and then, right, then you'll really know what to study.
That's what we pretend
So
to do.
your notes are there to study before the final, so.
I didn't, I heard.
Yes.
like,
You're gonna give us fair warning before a test, right?
Yes, yes.
Good.
When we finish with mad science sometime next week, then we can think about when the midterm fits everyone's schedule. Okay, I'm going to do 1 more and then we'll do the rest on Monday. So let's say, let's do this big one. Since we have lots of skeptical people.
I'm so thrilled. Okay. I would also do-
What was?
36 inches.
Yeah, no, 36, yeah.
Yeah, 36
Oh my
inches.
God.
Okay, how many miles per hour is 200 inches a minute? So I want to go from 200 inches every minute to so many miles an hour.
Okay.
So in this one, we need more than one fraction. Remember things we've done before that were similar. We had these silly goes with chains. We also had the one-step conversions where sometimes you multiply and sometimes you divide, right? That's still the way people who do carpentry do this kind of stuff. They think, oh, I just need to multiply by 36, like we said last time. But sometimes it's too complicated. So this is an example of why we need another tool than just what we've seen. Okay, so we're going to start by writing it as a fraction. What we have is 200 inches in a minute. We don't want inches per minute, we want miles per hour. So we're going to write some things. What do you want to get out of first, inches or minutes? It doesn't matter which one we fix. Minutes, okay, so do I write my next minutes on the top or the bottom? Top, so it cancels. And what can I turn minutes into? Hours, okay. I wanted something per hour, so for time, I'm done. But I don't want inches per hour. That's what I have left. I want miles per hour. So let's get rid of inches. I'll put them on the bottom because then they can cancel with something on the top. What can I turn inches into?
Miles.
I don't know how many inches are in a mile. I can't do that in one step. Feet. And then what's my last fraction going to be? How many feet are in a mile? That one we do need to memorize before the final. Yeah. Notice just as a
5,280.
stylistic thing, all of my cross outlines are distinct. Some go this way, some go that way, some are doubles, maybe some are squigglies. But that helps me at the end of the problem look back and see that I did it right.
What do we need to memorize?
So you want to memorize that there's 1 mile is 5,280 feet. So this might look big, but it's actually friendly. We really couldn't mess up. Right? There's only one place to write this, one way to write this, so everything cancels out. And the fact that I'm about to multiply with some big numbers, well, that's the calculator's job. I don't have to worry about that. So 200 times 60, that'll be a 12 with 3 zeros. And the only words left on top are miles. And then 1 times 1 times 12 times 5,280. Do. All that's left is the hours. That's what makes me happy. How do you simplify a fraction? Top divided by bottom. Now, this is a great place to use your previous answer key. If you have a good calculator, in this kind it's alpha green and then equals as my answer. And I can just say 12,000 divided by previous answer and not have to type that again. I am going to round. Everyone get the same thing on their calculators? So once you get used to this, it's great. it looks bulky, it looks like a lot of stuff, but it's a lot more friendly than the goes with chains. And it tells you when to multiply and when to divide, so you don't have to just rely on this and get lost in several steps. And you really can't do anything wrong because having everything cancel out forces you to put the numbers in the right place. So it takes some getting used to, but it will be your friend once you know. And you don't believe me, that's okay.
I'm not convinced that this is right.
Okay, so that's all for unit analysis. We'll do lots more next week. For this isn't testing you, remember. This is testing your math background. If you want to work on it by yourself, you can. If you want to work on it with someone else, you can. It doesn't matter to me. Whatever you think you'll get the most out of. Don't throw it away. We might want to talk about this on Monday. So,
We taking it with us?
actually, no, you'll turn it in, won't you? I won't throw it away. You just turn it in. Doesn't matter if you finish or not. This is more, again, an assessment on your old math teachers and what you can do. If you happen to get a lot right, then you can get a star checked off for a third pop quiz. But if you don't feel bad. Again, this isn't measuring you. So I will.
I know the name.
Don't solve the problems. You're just sorting which operation you're going to use to solve them. And I'm going to turn off the recording.